Hello students, welcome to the video tutorial of Informatics Practices for class 12. Today we will be discussing the second part of the chapter Introduction to Computer Networks. As in the previous video tutorials, we have already discussed that what is meant by a computer network and how this computer network affects the interchange or exchange of information between two systems, okay, or the multiple systems. Also, we have discussed about the major components of the computer networks that were the host slash nodes, the servers, the client, the network hardware, and among the network hardware, we discussed about the NIC, the router, the switch, and the hub. Okay, so today we'll be discussing about the communication channel, the software, the networking services. Okay, so let's move forward and straight away go to this communication channel. So here we were talking about the communication channel. Okay, so what does a communication channel symbolizes in a networking? So in hosts in a network interact with other hosts and servers through a communication channel or a communication medium. Obviously, when we are creating a network, that means there should be an interaction between the systems. Okay. Now it is mentioned that hosts in a network interact with other hosts and servers through a communication channel. So if they are going to interact, there should be a channel between them so that they can exchange their information. So this communication channel, communication medium is also a integral part of a computer network, because if there is no communication channel between them, the exchange of information cannot happen. Okay, there should be a channel or there should be a medium through which the information is going on. Okay, the communication channels can either be wired or the wireless communication channel. Obviously there are two options for us. Either we can use a wired communication channel or we can use a wireless communication channel. Okay, depending upon the situation and depending upon the advantages and disadvantages, we choose a particular desired communication channel. Okay, so let's see what is wired communication channel. When hosts and servers are connected with one another through guided media like a network cables, it is called a wired communication. Okay, examples of wired communication media are twisted pair cables, coaxial cables, fiber optic cables. Okay, so whenever we are using a network and inside that network we are having the connection between the host and server through a guided media. Guided media like the network cables. Okay, so you can use the twisted pair cables or the coaxial cables or the fiber optic cables. That means if any case we are using any type of network guided media, that means that is coming under this wired communication channels. Okay, now let's move on to this wireless communication channels. And this wireless communication channel, we are having again hosts and servers which are connected with one another through the unguided media. What is meant by unguided media? That means which is actually a wireless communication. Now these things, that is the radio waves and the satellites, etc., comes under this wireless communication channel media. Okay. Now examples of wireless communication channel media are microwaves, radio waves, satellites, infrared waves, lasers. Okay. So whenever the networking is being done without any cables, okay, that is in the form of unguided media. So in that case, we are going to have a wireless communication channel. So these are the options for us. That is the microwaves, radio waves, satellites, infrared waves. All these are going to work wirelessly for a network communication. Okay. Now let's move to the other integral part, that is the software. The software layers of a network make networking possible. These comprise of network protocols, network operating systems, etc. So whenever you are going to create a network, obviously there should be some coding or some integrated programming which is going to help you in proper building of that network. Okay, so these comprise of network protocols. Actually, they will include some network protocol or the set of rules. Okay, and also some network operating systems which are going to follow those set of rules. So these operating systems need to be maintained with the help of some programs that will require a software. Okay, so a protocol refers to a pre-decided set of rules using which all parties of a network connect and interact with one another. Okay, obviously there should be some rules and regulations for interacting between the network. That is how the host is going to request and how the server is going to process the request. Okay, so these all sets of programs are being interpreted with the help of this softwares. Okay, a network operating system is a specialized operating system that can handle networking tasks. So why we are building a network operating system? It is built for a specialized purpose, that is, it is a specialized operating system that can handle networking tasks. Okay, so whatever the networking tasks will be there, that will be governed using this network operating system. Okay, now next is the network services. Now G part is the networking services. These refer to the applications that provide different functionalities over a network, such as DNS, domain name system, file sharing, VoIP, and many more. Okay, so these are the network services which you are going to get. Okay, so all these integral parts, that is the host, the nodes, the server, the client, the software, the hardware, and the networking services are going to comprise a total computer network. These are actually the components of a computer network. Okay, so already we have discussed about the components of the computer network. So now we are going to discuss about the types of network. That what are the different types and what are the different options which are available for the networking here. Okay, so let's see. A computer network means a group of network computers, that is computers that are linked by means of communication system. A network can mean a small group of linked computers to a chain of few hundred computers of different types. Okay, so you cannot just symbolize that a network is limited to this particular field. The network can be a small network also, and the network can be a big network also. Okay, so it is said that a network can mean a small group of linked computers to a chain of few hundred computers of different types. Okay, so if the communication is being done between 3 4 computers, that is also a network. And if it is being done among 50 to 100 to 200 systems, then also they are going to create a network. Okay, so it is mentioned here example PCs, minis, frames, etc. Okay, so does network vary in size, complexity, and geographical speed? Now this network can vary according to the size of the networks, and how big the network is, and what is the complexity of the network, that whether the networks are comprised of so many systems or not. Okay, or what is the complex procedure of connecting the networks, and also the geographical spread. Okay, that is, the geographical spread means how much area it is taking to be taking for creating a particular network. Okay, so now let's discuss our different types of network based on these parameters. So the first thing is the types of network based on geographical spread. So we are having these four options, that is LAN, WAN, PAN, and MAN. Okay, so you have already discussed, means you are already knowing about these things also. In the previous classes you must have studied about them. So LAN basically refers to the local area network. Okay, WAN refers to the wide area network, PAN is the personal area network, and MAN is the metropolitan area. Now, as the name suggests, local area network means it is localized. Okay, so this is a small area network actually, and it is used for a particular campus. Okay, suppose if you are working in your computer lab, okay, and there are 50 to 100 systems. Okay, so you can connect those 100 systems through this LAN cables. Okay, so that is a small area. Okay, it is covering a small area of the computer lab, or maybe 2 3 labs which are attached to each other. Okay, so that is going to form a local area network. Okay, so there are different advantages for using them, because if you are going to use the LAN connection, you will have sharing of the resources. Okay, so it is mentioned that the key purpose of a LAN is to serve its users in resource sharing. The hardware as well as the software resources are shared through LAN. Now the hardware and the software resources are shared. How you can share them? Suppose if 30 to 50 systems are connected to a LAN cables. Okay, so you can connect all those systems through a particular printer. So that is the hardware. Okay, so whatever the printout is to be taken, that is accomplished by a single printer. So that is being done with the help of this LAN. Okay, the second thing is the hardware as well as software resources. Now software resources means if you are having a particular software in a particular system, you can just download that system that software into other system also, because since the resource sharing is possible through LAN. So if you are having a particular hardware or software attached to a single system, that means that resources are available for the other systems too. Okay, so that is the big advantage of using the local area network or the LAN. Okay, for instance, LAN users can share data, information, programs, printers, hard disks, modems, etc. Okay, so all these sharings are possible because of the presence of this LAN. Okay, so it is a very beneficial whenever you are in a small area network. Now let's move further. It is mentioned that in a typical LAN configuration, one computer is designated as the file server. It stores all of the software that controls the network, as well as the software that can be shared by the computers attached to the network. That is told that if you are having a typical LAN configuration, one computer is designated as the file server. Obviously, you need a particular system which is being used as a file server. Okay, so what it will do, it will store all of the softwares, okay, that controls the network, as well as the software that can be shared by the computers attached to the network. So both options of the softwares are there. Either if you are trying to control all the systems, you can control it from that particular software, or if you want to share those software, that shared software should also be present there. Okay, so it is also mentioned that computers connected to the server are called the workstations. Okay, so whenever you are going to connect all the systems to the servers, then they are known as the workstations. Okay, so almost LANs cables are used to connect the network interface cards in each computer. Now what is told that on most LANs, cables used to connect the network interface cards in each computer. Now different systems are going to have NICs in their own systems. Okay, so the use of this LAN will do what? It will connect all these NICs together. Okay, so basically you are having a connection of these NICs, and since all of them are connected together, so you can use their hardware resources at one. Okay, so it is mentioned that traditionally LANs are said to have geographical spread of up to 1 kilometer. So 1 kilometer area can be covered with the help of this LAN cables. Okay, so it will provide you better communication between this range. Okay, up to 1 kilometer. Now the next thing is the wide area network. Now what is wide area network? A network spread across countries or on a very big geographical area are known as WANs. Basically, it is a you can say it is a larger area covering network. Okay, so as compared to LAN, the WAN will cover a greater extent of area. Okay, so WAN is a group of computers that are separated by large distances and tied together. It can even be a group of LANs that are spread across several locations and connected together to look like one big LAN. Okay. Now you are knowing that the maximum spread or the typical spread of LANs are up to 1 kilometer. So if we want to go to a higher range, that is about 20 to 15 kilometers range, so what we can do, we can create different LANs at different points, and then connect those LANs with the help of this WANs. Okay, so what will happen? This WAN will actually look like a LAN only. Okay, so it will accomplish the properties of LANs only, but only it will cover a larger area. So that only it is mentioned that it is a group of computers that are separated by large distances and tied together. It can even be a group of LANs that are spread across several locations and connected together to look like one big LAN. Okay. So the WANs link computers to facilitate fast and efficient exchange of information at lesser cost and higher speed. So why do we need this WAN? Because again, if there is a large area to be covered and you want the communication to be fast and quick, and efficient also, so you can use this WAN connections. Okay, with the help of these WANs, we will be able to easily exchange the information and share the resources. Okay, so computer connected to a wide area network are often connected through public networks such as telephone systems. Sometimes they can be connected to the lease line or satellites. Okay, these options are there. So here one example is given. Suppose there is a head office here, and these are lines connected here. Now suppose these are different offices like that only, like the head office and the regional office, the eastern state office, and the site office. So all these offices are individually connected through LANs. And what we are doing with WAN, we are connecting these LAN channels through one channel. Okay, so that is the use of wide area network. Okay, so what this WAN is doing, it is joining these individual LAN connections to create a larger network. Okay, so it is covering a larger area. Okay, now let's move to the MAN. So MAN is basically a metropolitan area network. Earlier it was used too much, but nowadays that is not too much relevant because we have got some good internet speed. So metropolitan area network basically covers a much higher area, and the much higher area is limited to approximately, you can say, as big as a city. Okay, so if you want the whole communication to be happening with a particular connection, okay, so you can create a MAN network there, and the whole city can be covered with this man area network. Okay, but these days this term has become redundant. Okay, now see, the internet is a giant van. What you can say that actually the internet is also a giant van. Okay, why? Because typically if you see, then all the communication channels are having their own individual connections, lines. Okay, so what this van is doing, they are joining different types of networkings together. So what internet is also doing, it is doing the same task. So you can say that internet is also a giant van. Okay, so what is this giant van doing? This is connecting multiple systems. It is not limited to a particular 50 to 100 kilometers. It can be to several thousands of kilometers. Okay, so please note that web, that is World Wide Web, is a part of the internet, not the complete internet. So try to understand this thing also. You must be knowing also this, that World Wide Web is actually a service of internet, and it is not the complete internet. Internet is having several other services also, and among all those services, this World Wide Web is also just a service of internet. Okay, so whenever we are going to mention World Wide Web, it is not the case that we are referring the whole internet. It is just a part of the internet. Okay, and let's move further. Let's see some differences between LAN and WAN. So LAN, it is spread over a small area. It is usually cost, means obviously it will be less costly as compared to the WANs. So it usually costs less to set it up, and it is usually a single network. Okay, and WAN, it is a spread over a large area, and it costs higher to set up, and it is usually a network of many networks. Obviously, it is clear to you from the definitions also. So these 3 points are differences between the LAN and WAN. Now let's move to the personal area network, that is PAN. So basically, this PAN is being typically used by almost all the users right now, because you must have been using the Wi-Fi connection or the Bluetooth connection for your particular devices. So that comes under this PAN. So what PAN basically referring to is that a personal area network is the interconnection of information technology devices within the range of an individual person. So actually it is limited to individual person's reach. So typically within the range of 10 meters. So you can say that whatever the connection is being created in PAN, it is limited to a 10 meters range. So among this 10-meter range, you can share multiple devices among them. Okay, so that can be done with the help of this wireless technology such as Wi-Fi. So typically, this kind of personal area network could also be interconnected without wires to the internet or other networks. Now you can use this wired communication also here. Suppose if you are having the data cable, and through the data cable also you can create these stances. Okay, 10 meters range, and if you want the Wi-Fi connection to be held here, and so that also you can use. Okay, so that whatever the communication is done for a particular individual, that will be considered under PAN. Okay, so here one example there. Suppose your tablet and your printer and your laptop and your mobile are being connected wirelessly or to the cables. So it is limited to a particular users. Okay, so it is covering a smaller range also. So it is considered as a personal area network. Why personal? Because it is limited to a particular individuals. Okay, so it is actually working as a personal area network. Got it? Now let's move to the network topologies. What are network topologies? So topology basically means the pattern of interconnection of the nodes in a network. So how these nodes are being connected, and what is the pattern of connection of these networks, that is only the topology. So here also it is mentioned the pattern of interconnection of nodes in a network is called the topology. So what is topology? Actually, it is a pattern. Okay, just try to remember this thing. Whenever the topology word comes in the mind, that means it is referring to a pattern. Which type of pattern? The pattern is actually the interconnection of nodes. That in which way these nodes are being connected. Nodes means what? Different computer systems for a computer network. So in which way these are connected, the type of connection and the way in which these are connected, that comes under this topology. Okay, so the selection of topology for a network can be done in isolation, as it affects the choice of media and access of method used. So the most important of which are set below. So the first thing is the cost. So what is cost? So for a network to be cost effective, one would try to minimize installation cost. This may be achieved by using well understood media, and also to a lesser extent by minimizing the distances involved. So what you can do with the help of this cost. So suppose if you are setting up a particular network, what you want, that network should be efficient as well as cost effective. So you don't want to spend too much money according to your task. Okay, suppose if you are having a simpler task for 2 to 3 days or for 2 to 3 hours, why would you go to build a very huge network? Okay, so depending upon your demands and particular need, you set up a particular connection of the network. Okay, so you should keep the cost in mind, that what it is going to cost, whether the work you want is relevant, that it should get that much cost. Okay, so according to the needs, the demand, you have to go for this cost. Whatever the connection you are building, it should be cost effective. Okay, this may be achieved by using well understood media, and also to a lesser extent by minimizing the distances involved. Obviously, if you will minimize the number of means the distances between them, so it will cost lesser. Okay, obviously. Next thing is the flexibility. Because the arrangement of furniture, internal walls, etc. in offices is often subject to change, the topology should allow for easy reconfiguration of the network. This involves moving existing nodes and adding new ones. Now what it is showing, that flexibility, that means your network should be in such a way that if certain changes or the modifications are being carried on in a particular room or in a particular campus, it should not affect the working or the networking of your computer network. Okay, that means suppose if you are having certain set of arrangements in that gallery or your particular campus, suppose the furnitures are being exchanged from one place to other, then the internal walls are being painted and all, so the networking should be done in such a way that it is not going to affect towards the functioning of that network. So it should be flexible. Okay, flexible means it is is ready to accept the changes. Okay, it is not going to be affected with the changes. So the physical changes can happen and it will not affect the particular network, then it will be called as a flexible network. Okay, this involves moving existing nodes and adding new ones. Now if you want new systems to be managed here, so you can easily attach some new systems, and you can also want to remove some systems, you can remove it. Okay, so all these things are happening without having a function effect over the functioning of the network. That type of network will be considered as the flexible network. Okay, reliability is also the property. Reliability means how much dependent you are on that particular network, how much trust you are having on that network, that whether all the information which I am transferring, I am getting the whole complete lot of information or not, whether it is a case that I am losing some information. So if I am losing some information, that means I am not that reliable on that network. Okay, so the reliability is an issue. That means you should have a complete trust or total satisfaction whenever you are doing an interchange of information or the exchange of information through a particular setup network. Okay, now next thing is the different types of networking which we can have. That is, the first thing is the point to point link. Okay, so by the name itself you can understand that point to point link means what, you are creating a link between 2 points. Okay, one point is there and the second point is there, and you are creating a network among those 2 points. Okay, that is actually a point to point network. So what it is mentioned here, before we talk about topologies in detail, let us learn about point to point link. To understand this, link basically relies upon two functions, transmit and receive. Obviously, if you are having a particular network, that means there should be two types of functioning. That is, one will be the transmitting of the information, and second will be the receiving of the information. So here you can see that there are 2 points x and y, and they are simultaneously transmitting and receiving the particular set of information. The transmit and receive operations can occur over separate wires for better performance, or they can take turns over the same wire using a variety of techniques. Okay, so if you want, you can have a single wire also. So in that single wire, once the information will be transmitted, and the second time the information will be received, or you can have two separate wires, one for transmitting and one for receiving. So it will work in a parallel, and it will take some less complexity, and it will get a better performance also. Okay, so point to point network can grow in several ways. One method is simply to install a PP link between each pair of computers in the network. This approach is called a mesh. Okay, whenever you are creating a PP link or this point to point link, so it is actually uh, moving over the approach, and that is called the mesh. Okay, so many topologies have been developed, but major ones are star topology, ring, the mesh, the bus, the tree, and the fully connected. Okay, so these are the different types of topologies which we can discuss. Okay, I think that's enough for today's video. We will see the requests of the other topologies and what are the varieties of those topologies, so that can be discussed later on. Okay, till then, take care, students. Thank you.